All right, good afternoon, welcome. Today we're going to talk about solving 2 and 3 step equations. Okay, but before we get started with that, we have to go back and refresh our memory about how to solve any equation and what the keys are to solving every equation. I have them written over here. So the first key is that you got to remember that the equal sign is always in the middle of every equation. Doesn't matter how many terms are on the left, how many terms are on the right, it's always in the middle. Okay? The second thing, you want to identify all your variables and all your constants so that you can remember what you can combine and what you're not allowed to combine. Okay? And then the third thing is that your variable at the end, when it is all solved and done, needs to have a coefficient of positive 1. So you would see like x equals 5 or y equals 10. Okay, so the coefficient has to be a positive 1. So let's jump into it and do a few examples. So the first example I have written up here says 5 minus x equals 12. Okay, the first thing it says over here on my keys, the middle of my equation is the equal sign. So I always draw that line every single time. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify my 5 is a constant, my negative x is a variable, and my 12 is a constant. So that I know that I have a constant on the left and right, and I have a variable on the left side. The variable at this point in time has a negative in front of it. So I got to be aware of that it is a negative x. And I have to do something to that before I can solve it. Okay? So what I would do now is I know that the variable's there. I need to move the 5 to the other side. Since it's positive, I'm going to subtract 5 from the left side and subtract 5 from the right side because subtraction is our inverse operation of addition, and the 5 is a positive up here. The 5s are going to cancel out, and we're going to be left with negative x equals 7. Okay? And I would look at that and I'd say, hey, wait, I have an x, I'm done. But you got to remember, our variable has to have a coefficient of positive 1. So how can we take a negative x and turn it positive? There are 2 ways that you can do that. The first way is what I'm going to do is you can divide by a negative 1 and divide by a negative 1. Whatever you do to one side of the equal sign, you have to do to the other. Okay? Negative x divided by negative 1, the negative signs cancel out and you're left with a positive x. And 7 divided by negative 1 would be negative 7. So your answer here is x equals negative 7, and our x has a coefficient of positive 1. So we're good to go. As I look back, we did 2 steps. The first step, we subtracted 5 from both sides. The second step, we divided by a negative 1. So which properties of equality did we use in this problem? We used the subtraction property of equality here, and we used the division property of equality here. Okay? Pause for a second, copy that down while I write up example 2. Example 2 is going to look similar, but a little bit different. So example 2 says 2y plus 16 is equal to 6y. Okay? 2y plus 16 equals 6y. Now, what's the difference between example 2 and example 1? Well, if we identify the middle of our equation, and then we say 2y is a variable, 16 is a constant, 6y is a variable, I'll notice that I have 2 variables and 1 constant. Over here, I had 2 constants and 1 variable. Does that mean we do anything differently to solve this problem? No, it means we do it the exact same way. But you have to follow these 3 things. Okay? So, I have a variable on the left, a variable on the right, a constant on the left side of the equal sign. So I'm going to isolate my variables on the right and my constants on the left because the constant is already here. So I'm going to subtract 2y from here, subtract 2y from here. Okay? And these cancel out. And you get 16 is equal to 6y minus 2y would be a 4y. Okay? And that was step 1. Step 2, we have to isolate our variable and get a singular positive 1 as our coefficient. The way you do that, the way you always do that, is you divide by whatever the coefficient is. If you divide by the coefficient, you will get that single positive 1, because 4 divided by 4 is 1. So 1y is equal to 16 divided by 4, which is 4. Okay? Now, here's the other thing that I would like to ask. We have x equals 7, where our variable's on the left side. Does the variable always have to be on the left side? Because we have 4 equals y. Can we leave it 4 equals y? And absolutely we can leave it as 4 equals y. Okay? All right, why don't you copy that second example down. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do the properties of equality. The first property of equality, here we subtracted 2y. So that would be the subtraction property of equality. And here we divided by 4, so this is the division property of equality. Okay? All right, copy those down, and we'll get 2 more examples that we're going to do today. The next example, example 3, is this. 6m minus 2 is equal to 3m plus 7. Okay? So, now we have 2 terms on the left, 2 terms on the right. Okay, let's draw the line down the middle. Let's say we have a variable for our 6m, a constant for our negative 2, variable for our 3m, and a constant for positive 7. Okay, so I know that I can combine my 6m's and 3m's, and those are like terms, and negative 2 and 7 are like terms. Okay, now, when we're doing this, my goal is to always have my variable be positive. So I need to move either the 3m from the left side to the right side, or the 6m from the left side to the right side. Did I say that backwards? Okay, so my question is 6 minus 3 or 3 minus 6? Which one is going to get me a positive answer? And the answer is 6 minus 3. So I'm going to subtract 3m from both sides. Subtract 3m from both sides. And I get 3m here minus 2 equals, the 3m's cancel, and I get a 7. Okay? The next thing that we're going to do is we have to get this 3m by itself. Well, it's got a negative 2 on the same side of the equal sign, so I need to do the inverse operation of subtraction, which is addition. I'm going to add 2 and add 2. These cancel out. We get 3m is equal to 9. That's our second step. And then the third step, we have to get the m to have a coefficient of positive 1. How do we get the m to have a coefficient of positive 1? We divide by whatever m's coefficient is, which is a 3. Divide by 3, and you get m is equal to 3. Okay? Are we done? M is a positive 1 coefficient. M equals 3. Yes, we're done. And then our last example that we're going to do is example 4. And example 4 says 10 minus 5r is equal to 7r plus 46. Okay. The steps are always the same. So I'm going to go through them a little bit quicker this time. Draw the line down the middle of my equal sign. I have a constant, a variable, and a constant. Okay? As we're solving this, again, I want my variables to always be positive, and I move my variables first. So, negative 5r here. If I add 5r to the left side and add 5r to the right side, what will I get? 7r plus 5r will give me a 12r. So that will give me a positive variable, which is what I want. So I'm going to add 5r here, and I'm going to add 5r here, and I'm going to rewrite the problem. I'm going to get a 10, negative 5r, positive 5r cancel out, equals 12r plus 46. And now we have 12r plus 46 is equal to 10. I have my r's on the right side, so I need to keep them there and move the 46. How am I going to move the 46? I'm going to subtract 46 and subtract 46. These cancel out. I get a 12r is equal to 10 minus 46. Are the 10s and the 46s, are they both positive, both negative, one of the same? They're not, there's one of each. So 10 minus 46 would be a negative 36. Okay? And then the last step that we're going to do, we're going to divide by the coefficient, and you're going to get r is equal to a negative 3. Is our variable positive? Does it have a coefficient of positive 1? Absolutely it does, so we are done. Okay? Which properties of equality? I forgot to do the properties of equality, so let's go back here. Subtraction property of equality. Here we did the addition property of equality. Here we did the division property of equality. Looking at example 4, we did addition property of equality. We did subtraction property of equality. We did division property of equality. Okay? Please watch these videos. If you have any questions, watch them a couple of times, because the more you watch, the better you understand. And if you have any questions after you watch it about 5 times, go and ask your teacher. Practice. I hope this helps. Good luck. Have a good night, good day, good weekend, wherever you are. Take care.